Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for those of you getting ready to tune in for Wright-Patt Credit Union. Let me turn this up a little bit. Wright-Patt Credit Union's Finances in Focus live stream. My name is Ivy, and I am just going to wait a few minutes. I'm actually going to get on live on this phone as well. Get on my computer phone here and get ready to share with you our live stream today. I'm talking about two things that every budget should have. Those are goals and boundaries. So again, we'll just wait just a few moments, give folks a chance to jump on. Happy Friday, happy Finances in Focus, a short day. And I'm excited to share with you a few tips about goals and boundaries and how those two things can really help you flourish when it comes to your budget, no matter what type of budget you're managing. I am excited to join you this afternoon and to share just a few minutes on that tip. And like I said, I am actually taking a moment to share this with my friends and family. If you are interested in that or know somebody who could benefit from this message, please be sure to do the same. So you can just hit the share button in the bottom of your screen and let others know that we are here and we are talking about goals and boundaries with our budgets. So we have hit a new month. We have hit June. We're already 6 months into the year. I can't believe that. And hopefully with it being the beginning of the month, you've taken some time to review your budgets or review your spending plan and your the spending plans that you have for the month and for the rest of the summer. And for some, you may be starting to get back out into some of your normal day-to-day activities as retail establishments open back up, restaurants, stores, sports and recreational activities are beginning to increase again. And so it's really important right now, as those things begin to open up and become available, that we continue to be mindful about our budgets, whether we have a limited or restricted budget due to changes and maybe, decrease in income or changes that have had to be made during this pandemic time. And especially for those of you who don't necessarily have budget limitations or budget shortages that you're dealing with. A lot of times I get the question, especially from that group of individuals, how can I make sure that I stick with a plan? And so today I wanted to share the two things that I think are critically important to budgeting success. And that is that each budget should have goals surrounding it, and each budget should have boundaries in place. And so I'm going to talk for just a few minutes about what each of those look like. So goals, when it comes to managing our money, we should have goals in mind that drive everything we do, and that really should help us in prioritizing where we're spending our money. So when it comes to our budgets, we want to organize them where we're taking care of the things we must pay first, right? We have to take care of the four walls. We have to make sure things that protect our homes, our groceries, our food, our utilities, and our health and wellness are taken care of first as a basic priority. But then what do we do with the money that's left over, or maybe not even left over, but how do we prioritize that other money? Well, in that case, it's really important to have goals around our budgets. And so for some of us, that may be just continuing to sustain things as they are. For others, you may want to build an emergency fund. If you don't have an emergency fund or a reserve pot that takes care of not only expenses that are happening now, but also potential things that could happen soon and later, such as, emergencies that are unplanned, trips to the emergency room, a blown tire, or even larger things like planning to buy a home or send a child to college. We can create goals around our budget. And each month, when you review and update your budget, or each biweekly, each pay period, however often you do it, you should be, to the extent you can, funding your goals, funding your budget based on the goals that you've set. Having that focus will help you, especially for those of you that may have a little bit of extra or surplus to work with, who may not be sure what to do with it. I encourage you, fund your goals. You can actually set up even sub-accounts, secondary accounts, additional savings accounts, or even additional checking accounts where you can hold that money for those goals that you're funding. But it's important, fund your goal, create goals around your budget, and then use those goals to help you focus where you're placing your money and how you're prioritizing those payments. For some of you, your goal may be debt reduction. Well, after paying your necessary bills, your goal of debt reduction should be funded in your budget. It should be a focus when you are allocating money into your budget. The second thing that you should have in your budget is a strategy around boundaries and limitations. We need boundaries. Boundaries keep us working within the realm of reality, and boundaries are actually what help us to meet the goals that we set. And so boundaries, right? A framework around, an agreement upon what our limit is going to be for how much we'll spend, how much we won't spend, where we're going to place our money, and what our efforts are. And so boundaries are important in helping us to reach the goals that we set within our budget. Hi, Connie. How are you? Hi, Ashley. Just got the question, what am I talking about today? I'm talking about the importance of goals and boundaries within our budget and how they can help us to successfully maintain a budget. That's what I'm talking about today. Thanks for asking. So when we have boundaries in our budget, meaning limitations to how much we're going to spend, whether that be in a certain category or collectively, boundaries help keep us in a position to fund those goals that we've set for ourselves. So both are very important. You can set physical boundaries by actually, again, creating sub-accounts where you place the money for a certain category in that account. So for example, I actually have a spending account. And my account is named My Safe to Spend Fund Money. And when I get paid, I have a boundary. I have a limited amount of money that I allow myself in that account. And I put the money in that account and keep it separate from my bills and my other money that is established for goals and necessary expenses. And that keeps me in a safe space. And it keeps me actively working toward the goals that I've set. Likewise, when it comes to goals, because I've prioritized in our household, we have debt reduction as a priority. When we have money to work with, we prioritize funding that goal and creating boundaries and limits on the other things that we're spending so that we can really knock down that goal and really work toward the debt freedom that we have for as a target point for ourselves. So when we set our budgets for the month and when we review them every couple of weeks, we make sure that the boundaries that we've set also promote the goals that we want to meet, and we make sure the goals that we've set still make sense. So that's what I'll close with today. Remember, when you're setting goals and boundaries, that they change from time to time, right? As life ebbs and flows, and as life changes, the goals that we have, the needs that we have are going to change, and the boundaries that we have to set as a result will change as well. So don't feel like the goal or boundary that you set this month will even make sense in 6 months. Once you meet the goal, you set a new one. Once you meet a goal, you set a new one. And likewise, as a result, you may have to set new boundaries in order to keep you moving toward that target. I hope that this quick tip has been valuable to you today. This was your Finances in Focus live stream. I'm just actually taking a quick look at I think like I have a question here. I'm so excited to get questions. Student, what would you think are realistic goals and how one should plan on achieving it when you're on a limited income? Great question. So, and we are actually going to have a webinar about this coming up in a few weeks. So stay tuned to our page to learn more about that. But when you're thinking about setting goals, the way you want to prioritize them are, again, making sure first your budget reflects taking care of your needs, your must pays. So what bills do you have to pay to keep you housed, fed, clothed, and transported, at the basics. And then the second thing you want to do is make sure, to the extent you can, that you have a habit of saving something. 1 + 1 is always going to equal 2. So if you can save something to build a reserve pot for expected or unexpected expenses that may be coming soon now, things that may happen now, like right now we've been dealing with gas spiking and groceries spiking, the cost of that. So for you as a student, those things could be impacting you. And then things that could come up with things coming soon. So maybe you want to go on a trip, or maybe you're saving for books for your next semester. So trying to build a small habit of putting small monies away that can help you to attack those expenses as they come. And then finally, you want to be taking care of that reserve pot to help you to manage debt wisely. And so one thing I always recommend when you're setting goals, and sometimes students especially, you'll have a goal of like building credit. Practice using your money that you have, your cash on hand, your checking and your debit cards, and practice saving before you even obtain credit. That way you can keep it manageable, especially on a limited income. You don't want to take on debt that you're not ready to pay back on an ongoing basis, or you may, you want to make sure you're comfortable in repaying it. And so you also want to make sure with that if you are taking on debt, or you have debt within that, your financial picture, that you're just starting off small with it. Charge something small on your credit card, on a first time credit card, like a tank of gas or groceries, something you can pay back and budget for. But yeah, especially if you're on a limited income, remember, focus on maintaining the expenses that you need to pay, and then making sure you're building some type of reserves, keeping limits within your spending. I have students in my home. My son, he makes money, and I tell him, no matter what you're making, make sure you're putting a limit around what you're going to allow yourself to spend from week to week, because you have a goal of buying a car. That goal should be the priority, and everything else around it should be the boundary that you set to meet the goal. And even with a limited income, we can set that for ourselves. So great question. My goal is to purchase a home in the Tampa, Florida area. Congratulations. I would love that, sunshine. So as a member of the credit union, you are eligible through your membership, but you do have to be in Ohio right now to be a member of the credit union. So through that membership, we that makes you eligible, but I would have to direct you to our mortgage lending department to determine how that works when you're purchasing a home out of state, because I'm not sure. But I'd be happy to get that information to you offline if you would be interested. Let's see. All right. Okay, well, guys, I am so excited. Thank you so much for asking questions today. Please be sure to tune in to our Finances in Focus. We're doing them right now about every other week. We might pop on more often if we have a hot topic to discuss. But please, thank you so much for joining. Please hop on, ask questions. Tune into our website at wpcu.coop/education. We do have an event calendar out there, and we have several webinars coming up. We're actually going to be talking about a summer of savings here soon. And so we're going to have some topics on saving to meet your goals, spending and saving wisely for that purpose. How do what should you be saving for certain buckets of goals that you may be needing to meet? And what do you even need to save right now as we continue in this pandemic environment and the continued changing times that things are changing, and as things change, usually we see the cost of things go up and down as a result. So how do you navigate that, and what should your savings look like to address it? So please stay tuned. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful weekend. And thank you so much for joining us today. And we love you too. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being members.